All right. So first, thank you, everyone. I'm excited to talk about something that's really special and important to me. I am like most 30-year-old men in the United States. I love sports, and I love to talk about sports, and I love to watch sports. Even though my poor wife is not as much of a fan as I am. But the truth is that sports mean a lot to America in general. It means lots to the young men. And so okay, thank you, Ellie. Let me look to see, make sure my microphone is better. Okay. Please let me know if there's a problem with my sound or anything. I hope that it is fixed. I'm going to try something else. Okay. I hope that works. But if it doesn't, tell me, okay? Sometimes technology is not our friends, and that's okay. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to talk about American sports. Um, and so let me share my screen. Thank you. Thank you for telling me it's better now. Okay, here we go. So, like I said earlier, sports is a very important part of America. It's a very important part of American culture. As many of you know, we and most of the world has been dealing with things that have made it difficult for us to do sports. Sports are now back in the United States, but for 6 months we had no sports. And honestly, it was difficult. It was hard. Um, I really miss sports when we weren't able to play them. So it's nice to be able to talk about them again. Now, normally when I'm teaching, this is where I would ask you guys a lot of questions about what you think of when you think of sports and American sports. And have you ever played an American sport? How did you feel about that American sport? Things like that. Um, but this is not interactive. This is not exactly a teaching classroom. So this is more of a presentation. So I'm just going to talk about my experience with American sports. I played American football and American baseball for most of my life. And so, yes, I see a lot of basketball. China loves basketball, right? And so that's good to know that you guys have played at least some American sports. I know most schools will have a basketball court for the students to play. And so I know many of you have experience playing basketball. I was never good at basketball. I'm too short. I'm not tall enough for basketball. And then I see somebody plays hockey, which is a surprise to me. I've never seen uh, what is called a hockey rink in when I was in China. So I wonder where that was in China. And so, but listen, there are a lot of important aspects of American sports or things about American sports that influence or impact or have an effect on our culture. One of the things about American sports or American values is fairness, okay, equality. Now, I'm not saying that America is perfect at equality or fairness, but it is important, and it's something that we value in sports. It needs to be fair. That's why we have referees, umpires, officials. That the guys with the whistles and the flags. And if you watched hot soccer, the red and the yellow cards, those guys are their job is to make things fair. Okay, and that's something that American sports is to use a very difficult word, a microcosm of the rest of the nation, which just means a small picture of what we hope the rest of the country is like. And then justice, right? We want things to there is a penalty if you do something wrong, right? If you cheat, there's a penalty. If you are too rough and and treat another player unfairly, there's a penalty. So justice is important. And then obviously teamwork. We are working together for a common goal. Most sports in America, especially the most popular sports, are team sports, which means that it's not just one player. There are team sports and then there are individual sports. Individual sports are tennis, golf, sports like that. Even badminton. Well, sometimes badminton is a team sport, but usually it's an individual sport. But teamwork is important, right? Teamwork is important because when you for most of you, you're in school right now and you're almost playing an individual sport, right? Your job is to get the best scores as you can in school and then score high on the Galcal and then go to a nice university, get good grades, and then go to work. But what you don't think about sometimes is teamwork, right? So when you go through school, it's very much you and your scores and your classwork. But when you get to a job, it goes from just you to a team. You join a team when you start your career, and you have to work together with other people to have success, and that's teamwork. And when I don't think sometimes we do that enough in schools before we join a career, because it's important to not only learn how to score high on your tests, it's also important to work with other people and to make it peaceful. But you do that when you're in class with your classmates and your teacher. Everyone is working together to create an environment of learning, right? And so when the students that talk too much or they're too loud and they don't pay attention or they don't listen, they are penalized. There is a penalty because usually, I don't know, there's lots of penalties that teachers can use for students who are naughty, right? And so um, what I'm saying is that's an important part of American sports that we see in everybody's life. Um, Another issue that has been important with sports is racial issues. So, in the United States, there are people from all over the world. You have Europeans, you have Africans, you have Asians, you have um, South Americans, you have Canadians, people from everywhere. And so a lot of times racism or race is difficult part of American life. Sports have done a really good job of including people of all different backgrounds. For instance, we have black people in baseball now that for many years was not allowed, right? And today many people are black. Many people are from South America and the island nations under the United States. El Salvador, no. Haiti, the Dominican Republic is a very popular place where baseball players come from, and we don't all look the same on a sports team. And so that's very, very good. There are many Asian people that play professional baseball in the United States. And so I know most of you know those come from Korea. There's a guy right now that plays for my favorite team from South Korea named Ji-Man Choi, and he's one of my favorite players, and he is from South Korea. Lots of Japanese come and play in the United States. A lot of Americans go play in South Korea and Japan as well. And then lots of Americans go play in basketball in China as well. So a lot of international relationships can occur and affect big issues like international relations or foreign relations. Sports have a big impact on that. Um, I don't know how many of you are aware, but there was a time when the United States and China needed to talk and to have a relationship. And what did we use? For those of you who study history, we use ping pong or table tennis to have relationships with each other. We use sports, right? And so sports are so important to a country and to the world, in my opinion. And I think it's pretty obvious that that is true, if you just know a little bit about the history. Um, so for the people of the United States, we play sports growing up. My whole life, I played sports from when I was 5 years old to 27 years old. I played sports. I played baseball and football. I did not play basketball, and I definitely did not play hockey because hockey is a very expensive sport and it's a very difficult place sport to find a place to play. But if you can play, I'm sure it's a lot of fun. And then in school you play competitively. Lots of schools will have teams connected to their schools. Even some, like when I was in elementary school, I went to Pinecrest Elementary. That was the name of my school. And I also played football for the Pinecrest Pilots. And so I was able to go to an elementary school who also had a team, a football team related to it. And so you will support your local schools and universities. This is a big deal. My favorite team is the Florida Gators, and so I always root for them because that's who I want to win. I will show you really quickly. Um, this is my team that I played for when I was in college. So when I went to university, I played football there, and this is my team. And if you look very closely, it's hard to see. This is me, right, on our football team. And so universities have sports teams in the United States. I know that when I was teaching at Shanxi Normal University in Xi'an, I was um, there wasn't like teams for the university. Yes, they would do debate and they would travel and they would do some competitions, but not really big school teams like you see in the United States. So that's just a little bit different. And then you have a favorite professional team. My favorite professional team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Those are it's a good way for people who don't know each other to have a discussion and to talk. If you meet someone who's wearing an outfit or a uniform of a team that you like, you can talk to them about your favorite teams. Um, this is just this is all I want you to get from this is that sports are really most popular here in the southeast. Now, I live in Florida, so I live right here where my mouse is, and so it is very, very popular in this part of the country. Sports are popular all over the United States by a lot. Like everybody watches it, but there is a part of the United States where it is most popular, and that is where I am from. And so that is just a quick idea. This is the number of people who exercise or play sports daily, and their education level, right? So someone who did not finish high school, they only exercise about 10% of those people exercise daily. And then you go all the way up to finishing college, it goes almost up to 25%. So all this is showing is in the United States, people who are educated and understand health and fitness and things like that, they are more likely to exercise and to play sports and to take care of their bodies. I think we should all expect that, right? And then this is the difference between men and women in sports. So if you look all the way up here, 96% of the people that play football are men and 4% are women. Very few women play American football. But I have a cousin who is female and she played football in high school. So some women do play football, not very many though. And then it just goes down to where it's about half and half here bowling, right? Swimming, surfing. It's almost the same for men and women. And then all the way down to aerobics or yoga, which is more of what we call a studio sport, where you go into a big room and you exercise with a couple of people. You see it a lot in the evening, where you see the older women, right? They're dancing and they're doing things together in the evening. That is basically just aerobics, but you're watching it where it's Chinese aerobics for elderly or older women and younger people. When I was in Xi'an, sometimes they would let me join them and learn how to do it. And some of the older men would show me how to do it, but I was not very good at it. It was difficult, but they were very sweet and very kind to help me learn how to do it. I'm sure you would have laughed if you saw me trying to do that. But many adults watch sports. I watched American football last night. Today is a very popular day for American college football, university football today. I will watch football all day today, except for I have some work to do today. But when I'm done with my work today, I will watch American football most of the day. My wife will watch her phone and be on her phone, but I will be watching football. But this word, I want to just introduce you to one vocabulary word that I want you to try to use this week. I'm always going to be a teacher first, and so I want you to pick up new words when we talk. And I want you to, but a lot of people, what they do is they live vicariously through their team. And all that means is that when my team is successful, I am successful. When my team is not good, I am sad, and it makes me sad. So my wife will be like, Waylon, why are you so sad today? And I'll be like, my team lost the game and I just am not in a good mood anymore. And it's true, like it affects my mood when my team loses. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm unkind or I am not nice to my family, but I do just not quite feel as good that day about what is going on because my team lost. And so it's just important to us. And it's good to have something like that is important to you. If you see at the bottom here, the average man in the United States watches 7 hours of sports per week. I don't know if I watch more or less than 7 hours a week. I think my wife would tell you it might be above that number, but I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. Not anymore though. Right now I have to go to bed early so I could get up early and spend time with you and my students. And so I can't watch as many hours as I normally would. Um So we have something called the Super Bowl. This one right here, Super Bowl. It is the championship game. It's the last game of the professional football season, and it is the two best teams playing for the Super Bowl to win the final game. And it is every year. It is the most popular um, thing to watch on TV. So in the history of American television, 21 of the 45 most watched TV shows or broadcasts have been Super Bowls, the final game of the season. Now, Super Bowls are very famous for their commercials too, right? Commercials are advertising the things that we watch in between the games to advertise different things. They can be very funny. They can be very sweet and heartwarming. And so there are a lot of people that watch the Super Bowl just to see the commercials. Um, well, actually, let me show you. Let me see if we have. Yeah, we could do this. All right. So where is it? Okay. Oh no, we'll watch a different video. That one's done a little too long, and it's I don't know if it's as funny as I'd like for it to be. Um, but football, so not soccer. Okay, so don't mix up the two. Europeans call soccer football, right? And I'm sure you have heard that too. And so it is the most popular sport in the United States at every level: high school, college, professional. At every level, football is the most popular. You see here a very young boy playing football. You can play football, I think, at age 5, all the way up to professional. So lots of people play the sport. And it's the most TV viewer. So it's the most people that watch it live on television. Football is always the most popular. All right, I'm glad it's okay. So I just want to show you a quick guide to American football. I don't expect you to have a perfect understanding of American football, but it's a very simple game if you really think about it. If you see here, this part of the field with this line right here, this is called the end zone. And your goal is these guys want to get here, and these guys want to stop them from getting there. And then they want to go this way, right? And so this is what they do. So this guy right here standing up in the back is the quarterback, and he will drop back and try to give the ball to one of these players, this guy, this guy, this guy, to get there. And these guys, their job is to stop them. That is all that is you need to know about American football. It's very simple. It's a actually it's I know if you play Chinese chess. I only played a little bit of Chinese chess. It's very I was very it takes a lot of time to learn all the pieces, right, of the chessboard. But Chinese chess is a war game, right? It is simulating or pretending to be war against each side. The same thing with American football. You are trying to go this way, and this team is trying to go that way. And so that is how you that's it. That's all you need to know. Now, obviously, there are lots more rules, and so it can be a little bit difficult. Um, the National Football League. So this is America's professional sports league for football. It is this is a picture of all the teams in the United States and where they are located and where their fans are located. So a fan, by the way, is a fanatic, which just means someone who is really serious and excited about their team. So you call them a fan. Um, you see here, you see Florida, which is where I live, right? I live here. That is my team, but there are 3 teams in Florida. So it's a lot of people argue about who is the best team in Florida. There are 16 game seasons, so you only play 16 games, which is actually very small. I think the basketball, you play like 80 games. American baseball, you play 160 games. And so most sports have much more games, but football is a violent sport. So you can't play it as much because people will get hurt, and people do get hurt every year playing football. Sometimes it is what's the word? It is a lot of people argue or disagree that we should keep playing football. Some people think that football is too violent and too many people get hurt. Um, and a lot of people do get hurt, and that's true. I played sports for 20 years. I played football for 20 years, and I was only hurt one time, and it wasn't a serious injury. So I don't know. It's complicated, but it is true. Um, the Super Bowl is the biggest annual event in the United States. It is famous for the commercials. Some of the commercials, like we mentioned earlier, are very funny. For 30 seconds, so that's half of 1 minute, you have to pay $4 million. Now, this presentation is a couple years old, so it may be much more now. But you have to pay lots of money to run an advertising or commercial on the Super Bowl. It's incredibly expensive. And then finally, we have college football or university football. It is very popular too. As you can see here, um, we have a different way of doing the championship in college football. Some people argue that it's not a good way, it's complicated, but basically, college football is a way for the best college players to be discovered and to go on to play for the NFL or the National Football League. And it's very popular, very especially where I live in the southeast of the United States. College football is almost as popular as professional football where we live. Um, this here is just a couple of pictures of big hits in football, which means that people were, um, you know, there's men that run very fast, okay, and they hit each other, and it can be dangerous, and people do get hurt all the time. And a lot of yes, William, very good. A lot of concussions happen in American football. You see this man right here, his head will hit the ground and it may give him a concussion. And that can cause problems when you get older. That is the controversy. That is the issue right now that we are trying to deal with in American football. Um, I don't have an opinion on what we should do about it. I do know that I love football, and then football paid for my education. I was able to get a college I was able to finish college because of football, because it paid for my ability to stay in college. And so I love football, and I hope it stays, and I hope it doesn't go away. But it is unfortunate sometimes when um, people get hurt. It's sad, and it's something that we should try to help fix. Um, I do see that it says my voice is weird again. If my voice does that, let me know. I'm gonna just try to stay where I'm at until it gets a little bit better, and hopefully, it's not gonna do that. My internet today is not always good. It's been fighting me all day. All right, so we're gonna talk about baseball now. Um, Baseball is the second most popular sport in the United States. And for many, many, many years, it was the most popular sport in the United States until about the 1960s, where football became more popular. We always call baseball America's pastime. And all that means is that is a way for Americans to pass the time, right? When you don't have anything to do and you've got all your work done, well, what do? Well, you watch or you play baseball. That is how you are able to pass the time. And so there are many idioms that come from American baseball and just sports in general. This is really important. Um, I think that what's the word I'm looking for? The way that we communicate with English. Um, yes, thank you for asking, Yolanda, and I will tell you the way that we communicate in English is through a lot of idioms. And so, what an idiom is a way to communicate indirectly with other references. That might be confusing, but let me explain. If I say, don't drop the ball, right? Well, that doesn't mean don't actually drop a ball. That means don't mess up. Don't make a mistake. Okay? So, and if you're talking to someone and you're like, "Okay, let's pretend. Let's pretend this morning teacher didn't wake up and my alarm didn't wake me up and I messed up, right? And I let the you guys down. I let lots of people down. And very good, William. Very, very good. And so I will go uh, to to Sally or to Annie, and I will say, I dropped the ball this morning. I am so sorry. So, yes, what did I do? I did not drop a ball. I didn't wake up to do my job. And so I will go to them and I say, I dropped the ball, which just means I failed and I did not get it done. Another example, Williams has shared some examples in the chat if you want to look at it. Piece of cake, let the cat out of the bag. If something is a piece of cake, it means it's easy. I don't know about you, but I've never struggled to eat cake, right? It's always been very easy for me to do. So that's another idiom. Let the cat out of the bag is a great example. Letting a cat out of a bag means that you said something or you told someone something that you should not have told them. Um, and I don't know about you, but if you've ever taken a cat and try to put it into a bag, it's very difficult, right? Cats will not let you put them into a bag. So it's hard. You can never put it back. Once you let a cat out of the bag, everybody knows and it's too late. So the easy peasy lemon squeezy is a great example from Yolanda, but it's actually, that is not an idiom. That is what we call a play on words. It's just a way to use words and be silly. And so very good. Actually, you know what? Let's watch a quick little video about idioms. It is very short and it's a really good way to learn some good sports idioms. Well, let 1 second. Let me stop share and then make sure that the audio is playing. Yes. Okay. Mm, there it is. Okay. Here we go.
Here are some awesome sports idioms from EnglishAnyone.com. Jump off the deep end. To jump off the deep end means to do something drastic with an unexpected result. I really hate my job, so I'm going to jump off the deep end and quit before finding a new one. Keep your eye on the ball. This is a baseball term that means to focus. Hitting a baseball is one of the hardest things to do in sports, and you must watch the ball closely to hit it. If you keep your eye on the ball and study hard, you will get fluent in English faster. Jump the gun. This is an idiom from running that means to do something too quickly. Because races usually begin with a shot from a gun, to begin before the shot is fired is to start early and illegally. I jumped the gun on buying a house before I knew I would get my new job. A level playing field. A level playing field means that things are equal and fair. We have a level playing field at our company. Anyone can get promoted if they work hard. Par for the course. This is a golf term that means the number of strokes needed to put the ball in the hole. Par for the course is average or expected. Getting things done slowly is par for the course at work. Everyone is so lazy. Behind the eight ball. This is a pool term that means to be at a disadvantage. I was behind the eight ball when I realized that I'd overslept and missed my bus. A ballpark figure. A ballpark figure is a general estimate of something. Most sports fields are huge, so we give general numbers about things like the number of people in them or the number of hot dogs sold at a game. I don't need an exact price for the cost of the new building. Just give me a ballpark figure. Dive in head first. To dive in head first means to do something impulsively or without thinking. I dove in head first, quit my job, and began a one-year trip of Asia. For more free tips, lessons, and
All right, so thank you for watching that with me. Those are just some other examples of idioms that include sports. And so we often do that because the reason why we do that is because everybody knows about sports, right? And everybody can relate to sports idioms. And so we do that a lot. And it's also been around. American baseball has been around the United States for many, many years. Many people, it is just incredibly important to them. So, for instance, in this picture here, this was a popular shirt that you would wear when I played baseball. It says, "Baseball is life. The rest is just details." So, basically, meaning that the most important thing in your life is baseball. And I have lots of friends who still feel that way, that play sports and baseball with their family. There's another thing you could say: baseball, it is said, is only a game. True, and the Grand Canyon is only a hole in Arizona. So as we see here, this is Arizona, and it's a giant Grand Canyon, right? That is the Grand Canyon. It's not just a hole, right? So in other words, baseball is not just a game. So that's the way that we communicate, especially around sports. Um, and so it's interesting, and it affects our culture. Like, our culture is affected greatly by sports. Um, and so here you see another one where it says, "Step one, crawl. Step two, walk. Step three, play baseball." And so that's the way. And that's similar to my life. When I was old enough to run, I started playing sports. And so it wasn't baseball. I started playing baseball a little bit later, but it was eventually baseball, and it became really, really important in my life. So the Professional Baseball League in the United States is called Major League Baseball, MLB. Okay, I'm sure some of you have heard of that. It is the second most popular league in the United States. It sells the most tickets. So remember, I said baseball has a 160 games. Well, that's 160 opportunities to sell tickets. So fans, and these are your fans up here, right? They can come and watch. So they sell the most tickets to fans. And that is they make a lot of money doing that too. And so that is a way that they are able to make money. Not as many people watch baseball on TV, but more people go watch baseball live during the season. There are 30 teams in the Major League Baseball. You have the National League and the American League, and they all play each other throughout the year. There has been, like we talked about, football with concussions and with people getting hurt, a controversy or problems. Baseball has problems too. There is a lot of people doing what is called PEDs, or performance enhancing drugs. So this picture here is a kind of a picture of what baseball was like for many years. A lot of people doing these things so that they can become better at the sport and make more money and become famous. So you see this picture here is Sammy Sosa. He is very famous for being a very good baseball player, but he was using these drugs. And so a lot of people don't think he is a very good baseball player because he cheated. They say you cheated and you didn't do it the right way. Um, and so it's a big controversy. The final game each year of baseball is called the World Series, and the reason why it's called a series is because you don't just play one game; you play 7 games in the World Series. And so you have to win 4 games to win the World Series. And so it is a big deal. Actually, my favorite team was in the World Series this year, but we did not win. I was very sad. It made me so sad. My team has never won the World Series ever, and I thought we were going to do it this year, and we fell short, and we did not get it done. So that was super sad for teacher. But this happens in October, so it just happened. We just had the World Series a couple of months ago. So I'm still a little sad about it, if I'm honest. This is if this was just a normal class and we were doing this, we would watch a video right now, but we won't do that. The video is kind of long, but it is a great way to show the effect of sports on a city like Philadelphia, which is a big baseball city. Um, and then soccer. Soccer is incredibly special sport in the United States. More people play soccer today than ever because remember we talked about usually it's football, but now because of the injuries and the people being hurt, we don't do football anymore. We do a lot more of soccer. So that is why we will uh, I think become better at soccer in in the world because we have a lot more young people playing today who can get better. Um, our men's national soccer team is not very good, and so we don't really cheer for them as much because they don't win that often. Um, However, our women's soccer team is really good. They win all the time. They usually win the World Cup and things like that. So our national team for women's is much better than our than our men's team. Um, Actually, I think maybe the women can beat the men, but I don't know, probably not. Um, and Major League Soccer in the United States is popular. There is a Major League Soccer. It's called MLS, and it just means Major League Soccer in the United States. That is, it's getting more popular. It hasn't been very popular for many years, but now it is starting to get much more popular, and people are starting to watch it more. However, usually in the United States, if you watch professional soccer, you're still going to watch Premier League. When I was in China, one of my friends in China, he was a big fan of Arsenal, which is if you, it's very small, but if you look here, this is Arsenal, and in the United Kingdom or in England, and he watched that and I like it and that's who I like now because I watched a lot of Arsenal soccer while I was there. And professional soccer, especially in the Premier League, if you watch it, it's very entertaining. It is a very fun thing to watch. Americans usually say that soccer is boring and we don't like it because they don't score points very often, right? So a lot of soccer matches will be like two 2-1, right? And the person that has or the team that has 2 points wins. But in American football, the score is usually 35 to 26, right? So there's a lot more action and a lot more things to watch when we are watching American football as opposed to soccer, where there's not as much things, people scoring goals, unfortunately. And then we have basketball. As many of you know, basketball is really popular in the United States and in China. I always feel like basketball is the sport that America and China share together because there has been a lot of really talented Chinese basketball players in the United States. I'm sure many of you can name them, and I will show you a picture of a couple of them. But more Americans play basketball than any other sport because it's easy to play. All you need is a basketball goal and a ball. If you see here, many of you might recognize this man right here playing basketball. Some of you are probably too young to remember him at this point, but this is Barack Obama, and he played basketball when he was the president all the time. That is how he took care of his body and stayed in shape. And then we had college basketball, which was very, very popular as well in the United States, just like college football. And then you see here Jeremy Lin and Yao Ming, two Chinese Americans or two Chinese people that are American basketball players. And they were incredibly gifted and did a big deal. I know Yao Ming is still really busy in China now with the CBA and with saving the elephants. We see the commercials, and it's really nice to see that. But we're almost out of time. I did want to save a little bit of time if anyone wanted to ask a question or anything like that, feel free to. What we'll do is I know that our admin here. I have a class at 8, so we have to ask questions now so that I don't miss my class at 8. But or 8 my time, not your time. But so go ahead and I'm sure that I'm not sure if it's Sally or Annie that's with us this morning, but you can open it up to questions or you can ask in the chat box if you would like.
Okay, I see Dylan hands up, so I will open his microphone for you first.
I think you're muted.
Hi, Dylan.
Yeah.
Okay. He didn't open his microphone. So, is there anyone else have questions? Well, no one hands up, so maybe they don't have question. Do you have
That's
anything
okay.
else you want to show them?
Sure, of course, absolutely. I've got lots more. This is only like half of the presentation. So I'm just going to keep going until we got a couple more minutes. So I'm just going to keep on going. If you don't have a question, that's fine. If you do come up with a question, you can just ask or put it on the chat box. We're going to talk about college football, college basketball. This is huge, and it's important just as much to the team as it is to the student. You see here, this is your college basketball fans, and the students of the universities go to the games to have a night out with their friends and to have fun. It is a very important part of college culture or university culture in the United States. Now today, we can't do this, right? This is not okay. But for many years, that's what we would do, and hopefully, we can do it again very soon. But this is the way in which a lot of college students spend their weekends, enjoying things like the sporting events, basketball. Football as well. It's very, very popular, and so it's important that we get back to that because it's so important for our college students in the United States. There's something called March Madness, which happens during the month of March, obviously, where we have a big tournament for college basketball. And so if you could see this, workplace productivity loss of $3.5 billion during the month. So what a lot of people will do is that they will put money on their team to win, but the games are during the day, during the week where most people are at work. So you see this picture here, it is someone at work watching basketball instead of doing their job. A lot of Americans do that instead of focusing. So the whole country, the productivity goes down and we lose a little bit of money. So that's an important part of American basketball because it's a part of our culture. We talk about it. Instead of talking about your job, you'll talk about basketball during March. And so it's funny because a lot of companies lose productivity, but it's important and it's a good thing for people to be able to relate and have discussions about their teams and their sport. And I always think it's a much better thing. Um, to have because what else are you going to talk about with a stranger who doesn't know you or your life as well? So we'll stop there. I do really appreciate it. I have to prepare for my next class, but hey, listen, I want to also tell you guys I will be doing a winter program where we're going to be doing a lot of reading and writing about the books called The Chronicles of Narnia. The author, his name is C.S. Lewis, very, very famous um, American author. Oh, well, he's British, but sorry, he's not American. He's British. But his books are very famous in the United States and in the world, really. And so we're going to just read over those during the winter. It's going to be very fun. It's going to be a lot of conversation, a lot of reading together, and a lot of writing and just learning, but also just enjoying those things. Oh, so there was a question. I appreciate your question. Thank you, Dylan, about why we're not doing college basketball now. We are starting to do basketball. The season is about to begin, but we're not doing it with fans sitting and watching because of COVID-19. So we don't do it that way anymore. But hopefully soon, I am hoping by next year, we will be back to having fans cheering in the stands again. But again, thank you so much. If you have any questions, about being my student or uh, doing the winter program, let the administrator know. And I thank you so much for having me. And I hope you have a great night. As you can see, the sun has just come up here, so I'm going to start my day. So thank you so much, and bye bye.